As above, so below. We are each a microcosmos within the macrocosmos, a potential infinite within the greater infinite. But what are the cosmic laws and principles of these cosmos within us and all around us? The eternal tarot, or sacred arcana, symbolize the deepest principles upon which the universe and all its dimensions are based. In this video series, we will explore the symbols and significance of the 22 major arcana, also known as the tarot, and their esoteric principles or laws. By first intellectually studying the tarot, we gain a temporary knowledge of them. And by taking that temporary knowledge into deep and profound meditation, we can begin to have more profound direct experience of that knowledge through intuition, clairvoyance, and eventually even through experiences in our lucid dreams within the astral dimension and through astral projections. In reality, it is within the astral or superior dimensions of nature where the great enlightened divine masters, angels, Buddhas, or gods convey the eternal principles of the tarot in symbolic, Kabbalistic messages. To comprehend those teachings in our physical existence, we begin with study. And so, we are here at the beginning to learn how to decipher these symbols, to learn how we consciously work with these principles and laws contained within the tarot, as divinity helps us on our path to awakening and liberating consciousness. The study of Tarot and Kabbalah has two stages, or levels. First comes the intellectual stage, the studying of books and videos, maybe podcasts. Next comes the intuitive stage, gained through profound meditation, lucid dreams, and even astral projection, all of which we reflect on in further profound meditation. In many ways, with time and patience, these three intuitive experiences of meditation, lucid dreaming, astral projecting, they become one. However, because some people only study tarot and Kabbalah at an intellectual level and never go beyond into the intuitional levels, there are two types of Kabbalists, the intellectual and the intuitive. The intellectual Kabbalist gets lost in the clunky rigidity of what is taught in books and lectures through words and sentence structure, which has a certain value of a lesser quality, let's say. Conversely, the intuitive Kabbalist neither likes nor dislikes a teaching, instead placing it in their memory and then working to verify its validity in the superior dimensions, in the astral dimensions and beyond through meditation. The word kabel in Hebrew means to receive knowledge, not from an intellectual source, but from our own direct experience, right, or gnosis. Furthermore, if the intuitive Kabbalist is practicing the three factors of any Gnostic teaching, which is the psychological death of one's legion of ego, or psychic aggregates, or psychological defects, to be spiritually reborn by transmuting one's creative sexual forces up the spine and into the heart and brain, and to intuitively find ways to sacrifice one's energies to help others, then the intuitive Kabbalist will begin to move all of their intellectual knowledge over time from the intellectual mind into the heart mind, where it can enter their soul and become an eternal part of their being. If you've ever wondered why some children are born with so much wisdom, why some people seem so spiritually advanced at a young age, this practice is the key. If knowledge remains trapped in the brain, not only is it severely limited by a lower dimensionality of limited conscious light, let's say, but those things turn to dust when our consciousness eventually leaves that particular physical body. When information enters our heart center and reaches our soul, the source of our consciousness, it is received by our being. Then our inner divinity, who truly loves us, can provide a direct experience with the fundamental truth of that knowledge, whatever that truth is in actuality. Whether that direct experience or gnosis is through profound meditation or within the dream state, also called the astral dimension, also known as astral projection, we gain far more divine wisdom to help us on our path and to help others. Many believe the Tarot originates in the Middle Ages, yet it is far more ancient than this time period. And in truth, in reality, it was around the Middle Ages when formerly ancient, esoteric, hidden teachings of Tarot and Kabbalah were irresponsibly shared without guidance and out of greed or fear or pride, as opposed to divine wisdom and love. As the tarot spread across the world, tarot decks that were popularized through public carnival acts like fortune-telling and divination tables were exposed to various human desires of greed, envy, pride, anger, etc. This caused those eternal laws to become violated and adulterated by inaccurate illustrations that portray characters, situations, and ancient symbols in a misunderstood way. Thankfully, in his writings, Samael Aun Weor rendered a tremendous service to humanity by recovering the meanings and principles of the original and eternal tarot within superior dimensions, where they are written in stone. That is why we will be studying the eternal tarot cards along with writings of Samael Aun Weor and others, but especially from Samael's writings in the book Tarot and Kabbalah. And if one meditates on the teachings shared in the previous video on Lemuria and Atlantis, then one can intuitively comprehend that these eternal tarot of ancient Egyptian mystery schools originate from even more ancient spiritual teachings of those very Atlanteans and Lemurians who also received them from the superior dimensions. So Tarot and Kabbalah are deeply connected. And to begin our studies, we must explore this aspect. The 22 major arcana of the Tarot, as well as the Kabbalah, have a very ancient origin, which we can begin learning through a study of those writings from Samael. The Kabbalah is lost within the night of time, within the womb of Maha Kundalini, the Great Mother, where the universe was engendered. The Kabbalah is the science of numbers. The author of the tarot was the angel Metatron. He is the Lord of serpent wisdom. The Bible refers to him as the prophet Enoch. The angel Metatron, or Enoch, delivered the tarot in which the entirety of divine wisdom is enclosed. The tarot remains written in stone. He also left us the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. This great master lives in the superior worlds, in the world of Atziluth, which is a world of indescribable happiness. According to the Kabbalah, this world is the region of Kether, a very high Sephirah. All Kabbalists base themselves on the Tarot, and it is necessary for them to comprehend the Tarot and study it deeply. The universe was made with the law of numbers, measurements, and weight. Mathematics forms the universe, and the numbers become living entities. When it was said that Enoch was Lord of Serpent Wisdom, this means through the incredible efforts of working in alchemy to comprehend and dissolve his egos as well, Enoch's divine mother Kundalini was fully risen up his spine, not just in the physical dimension, but in the superior dimensions as well. I'll leave links in the description on the fundamentals of esoteric ego death and Kundalini yoga, in case you're unfamiliar with these teachings, as they are part of the Tarot and the Kabbalah, and we'll touch on them in future videos as well. As Enoch, or the angel Metatron, gave us both the Tarot and the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, these teachings are intimately connected. For instance, every Hebrew letter is also a number, and thus there are 22 letters and 22 major arcana. We will touch on aspects of the Hebrew letters throughout the series, but we will also explore many facets of each tarot and its association with Kabbalah. For example, aside from both the Hebrew Bible and Christian Bible, we can also find these principles of tarot and Kabbalah presented in ancient Egyptian teachings, also in Buddhist teachings, Mayan, and many other religions or yoga. Whether we are discussing the bronze serpent of Moses or the Buddhist Nagas, we inevitably arrive at the same divine source. In fact, the root of the word religion is found in the Latin word religare, which means to unite, to seek reunification with divinity that is within us. And the root word of the word yoga is found in the Sanskrit word yug, or yug, which means to yoke, to unite. So in synthesis, whether from east or west, all divine teachings that guide the development of a soul are communicated through these eternal symbols or principles or archetypes. And to further illustrate the interconnected synthesis nature of these teachings, we can look at the word Israel. Well, Israel actually is a word that is 3 in 1. Is, Ra, and El. Is, or Isis, is the Divine Mother, where Ra is the Egyptian representation of the solar Christ, or cosmic Christ, which vibrates and palpitates within all living organisms. And then El is the Hebrew word for God as 3 in 1, represented by various symbols, most famously within the Trinity, represented on the Kabbalah as the top Trinity, but there are also 3 Trinities on the Kabbalah tree. We'll get into that later. In this introductory video, it seems good to establish a couple fundamentals. For one, the Kabbalah, or Tree of Life, is sort of like an abstract map. Yes, there's a lot of information here, but we will cover each of these 10 spheres, or Sephirah, over the 22 major arcana videos. One aspect we can begin to contemplate are the 7 dimensions of reality, which today we see in contemporary media represented as the concept of the multiverse. A concept we must learn to bridge is that within the infinite universe, every multiverse is contained. What do I mean exactly? Well, as above, so below. The 10 sephira exist within the macrocosmos that we perceive as outside, quote unquote, outside of us. And also the 10 sephira are within each of us, who is a microcosmos of the macrocosmos. It is possible to visit the planets in a dream state, or the astral, the internal astral, and it is possible to visit the planets through astral projection as well. This is something worth meditating on, and perhaps if you've been keeping a dream journal and have recorded a lucid dream or astral experience of visiting one of the planets in our solar system or beyond, you can contemplate that experience with this deeper understanding. Let us begin to give a cursory explanation of interpreting these eternal tarot. We can use this graphic of the first tarot card, or arcanum, the Magician, to help us learn this layout a bit more. We will explore this particular arcanum and its meanings in the next video. For now, we can see that each card is arranged into a series of symbols and images besides the common Arabic numeral equivalent. There is also a Hebrew and Egyptian numeral equivalent. Next, on the top third of the card, we have a related sigil or glyph followed by a magical symbol. That magical symbol originates, to my understanding, from Paracelsus, who was a great master of medicine and knew the tarot fairly well. Last of these common symbols on each card, we have a zodiac symbol or letter, the name of this arcanum, and finally the planet symbol. Each card is arranged or broken up into vertical thirds, right? Top, middle, and lower. At the lowest portion, we see the horizontal line of life, which connects to the physical body of the card, and the vertical line, or the fourth position of the card as well. So this body of the card that's almost beneath these three vertical portions are very significant in relation to Kabbalah. The tree of life in Kabbalah is arranged into 4 quadrants or parts: Atziluth, the world of archetypes, and the top trinity, known by many different names throughout the various scriptures around the world. Then we have Bria, the world of creation, related to our soul and also the source of our consciousness. Then we have Yetzirah, the world of formation, where we find the astral plane or 5th dimension and the ethereal plane or 4th dimension. Yetzirah is where our mental, emotional, and sexual energies originate. Finally, we have Asya, the physical plane or physical body, where those mental, emotional, and sexual energies take a physical form in our bodies. Again, there is a lot here, and we're just barely touching on it for now. We will delve deeper in future videos. The more we study the tarot and Kabbalah, and especially the more we move the intellectual knowledge into our heart center and then into our soul, our consciousness, we will begin to have dreams that include these symbols and arcanum numbers. When this happens, it is especially important to record our dreams and meditate on the symbols the arcanum number gives. And this can also happen in meditation when we go into deep, profound meditation and we receive images or messages from our being. So it's important that we understand how to Kabbalistically add the numbers up. For example, you ask a question and you get a message or a visual message or audio message of you have to reach the 54th floor of a building in response to whatever question we might be asking. To Kabbalistically add that number up, one would add the 5 plus the 4, and because the number is 9 and thus 22 or below, we have our answer, Arcanum 9, the Hermit, which is related to the 9th sphere, Yesod, which is in the world of Yetzirah, and related to transmutation and alchemy and other aspects, so that we can then begin to study that arcanum and meditate on that arcanum to get a further clarification on the answer we were given. So as we work with the tarot, right, and Kabbalah over time, you can see how it's sort of like you're distilling not just the intellectual side, but more importantly, the wisdom, intuitive knowledge that has integration with wisdom of the soul and from divinity within us. Furthermore, given the context of the dream or astral experience and the situations in our physical life, through meditation, we can gain a greater comprehension of that message. When using a physical deck, we ask a specific and important question to divinity. The tarot can provide guidance to difficult situations, problems, and sufferings in our life. This is a means of communication directly with divinity. We should not use our tarot for trivial matters or for public purposes. Asking for a quick fix to material wants or financial situations will produce zero results, as the purpose of tarot is to comprehend the laws of awakening consciousness and redeeming the soul. So when we know a specific question we would like to ask divinity, what we first need is an altar. This altar can be complex or simple, as long as it has a white cloth, a lit candle or 3 lit candles to represent the Trinity, ideally, and an image of the Holy Pentagram, which is the symbol of the Christic principle or cosmic Christ. You can either print out an image of the Holy Pentagram or purchase one. Just make sure it's a proper representation, as the specific arrangement of symbols is key, and it is also good to study the Holy Pentagram and to understand it more deeply. You can also find these instructions included with the Eternal Tarot deck provided by Glorium Publishing, and I'll also provide a link in the description of this video to the step-by-step process in case you already own one of these Eternal Tarot decks and would like to start learning how to receive messages from divinity that, of course, must be meditated on. To conclude this introduction video, let us contemplate on the popular tarot most of us have encountered. In a reflective, meditative way, let us ask ourselves, through these contemporary tarot decks, am I learning to communicate directly with divinity? Have I truly conquered recurring problems and sufferings in my life? Am I becoming more compassionate, less resentful, and more patient by applying these principles I've learned to my life? We will explore these principles further in the entirety of this Tarot and Kabbalah series. I encourage all of you to learn the practices and experiment with them yourself to find out if these principles are truth or not. We are not here to have blind faith or blind skepticism. We are here to gain our own conscious direct experience through study of the Gnostic teachings of Tarot and Kabbalah. As always, thank you to everyone who watches these videos and likes and leaves comments. It's very kind. If you'd like to support the channel and join our discussions on these spiritual topics, lucid dreams and astral experiences on the Discord, you can find a link to the Patreon in the description below. And thank you in advance. Until the next video, wishing you happiness and joy on your warrior's journey to inner peace and awakening consciousness.